Hi, and welcome to another Business Source, where today I have the pleasure of being joined by Rinku Banger. Rinku started out Excellion, a company that helps all of us understand and get a better grip on what cloud technologies might be a best fit for what we're looking for, because it's a big old world out there with lots of different vendors, and their company provides a service to distill all that down based on what we're looking for, so that we can get to that right tech as quickly as possible. So Rinku, thank you. Welcome to Business Source. Thanks for joining us.
Hey Lee, thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Now, yours is a really, if I said fascinating story, scary one, I think, as well, and quite inspirational, if I'm honest. When I chatted with you briefly a bit before, and hearing your story about just how the company came about, and more importantly, when the company came about. So perhaps you could just share with the listeners and viewers a bit about that story for us.
Yeah, so I'd been on the so I'd worked for a few other companies in the past and predominantly selling IT hardware, and I think that's for the best part of sort of around eight years or so. And I decided to move towards cloud services based upon the trends I was seeing at my previous company, and I thought I'm actually enjoying what I do here, enjoying what I was selling there, but I didn't think I could do it at my old company as well as I wanted, just because it was a traditional at that time a traditional reseller, and we couldn't move away from that. So I think, yeah, I thought, you know what, I've been doing this for 8 9 years. I've sold hardware. How difficult can it be to sell cloud services? So uh, decided to pack my things up and go at it on my own. Which was a bit of a risk.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so I took some time off after, because it was a very heavy onslaught of 8 years, and yeah, I decided to set my own company up. And by the time I actually got round to have everything in place, uh, all the relationships, the website, the reach out back to my contacts again, I think it was just early to mid Feb. And
There's a lot that goes on behind those scenes, isn't there? I mean, a lot of people think, um, yes, it's easy to start a business these days with the digital world, and you don't have to have a shop. But it's actually crazy to think, when you're working for another company and you've got all those assets at your fingertips, white papers and invoice templates and quote templates and CRM systems, they're all just there, right? Because somebody else has provided them for you. Now you've actually got to start from scratch and get all those things behind you, ready for you to launch, right? So you had all of that to get in place. You've used all that vast experience, and then you've gone, right, yes, let's launch this thing sort of mid February 2020. What happened then?
so look, so that part what you said, it was probably the exciting part of actually building up the company, choosing the right CRMs, choosing the right tools. But so yeah, the exciting part happened, and it was time to kick off the company, and start doing my outreach. And at that time, it was already, I guess it was early COVID. No, it hadn't really affected anyone in the UK. You'd heard some conspiracies already come out, and things were accelerating quite quick. Picked up a lot of old relationships again, and what I was selling is, so unified comms market is at the moment is booming, and there's a few different types of markets which are booming, and business is accelerating at a very good pace, and I was quite excited for what I'd started. And then the end of March come along, and the end of March came along, and it, yeah, probably the red light came on, and suddenly customers and clients had just something put a hold on. Just immediately it was a hold, and they didn't know what to do.
Hmm.
I didn't know what to do at that point. And it was a very much just a big uncertainty from everywhere and anywhere. So because no one had an idea what was next. And
Hmm.
it took about two, I reckon it took about 2 3 weeks from that point from that point of lockdown hit in the UK and where it was spreading around globally, for it to really hit home and hit management level, and then trying to then reassess what they're doing and what's the next step.
Yeah. A guy that we interviewed, John Hayes, that I chatted with, mentioned this shock and horror, of the first two to 3 weeks of people sort of being in complete disarray and almost headless chickens, like just blown away by this completely new scenario and environment that we're in. So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what was going through your head having left the safety of a paid, employed job, going to
Yeah.
start to work for yourself. At that time, had you started to take on staff, Rinku?
So at that time I'd interviewed staff to join. Well, I'd interviewed staff, and I was quite close to actually hiring someone. And at that time, I thought it was going to be the correct thing, because I had an office space at this time, and I could sit with them and nurture them. And shortly after that, I had to kind of again reassess that, and again those 2 to 3 weeks, I had to reassess everything I was doing, from hiring, from what my investments were for the year, and yeah, so we didn't end up hiring anyone just prior to that, which was, I think, maybe a blessing, because I don't believe I'm the sales manager that I should be. And what we ended up doing actually was investing into a company to help us manage an external sales team, and provide you the resource to be able to do that.
Fantastic. Hey, there's absolutely no shame in recognizing things within ourselves that aren't necessarily our core strength, right? We may be, great business people, entrepreneurs, understand what the market might want, but selling, or marketing, or the tech, whatever it may be, just isn't our bag. And in fact, if you speak with most entrepreneurs and successful business people, they will absolutely share at least one element of their skill set that they're like, I'm rubbish at doing that. And I think you've really sort of hit the nail on the head with just how business, I think, is changing, and certainly how I work with connecting business and my company, and that's partnering with other companies that can provide me with those services and skills that I don't have. Because especially when you're starting out, it's really scary hiring people, actually having employees to do things, because it's pretty permanent, and you're affecting somebody's life. You're taking them away from another role where they've maybe got a pretty decent earnings, safe job, and you've asked them to come and join your new venture that's got no proven track record, and they've got no idea what their earnings are going to be. Whereas, and so there's a selfless element to that, because you don't want to expose yourself into that kind of stress and pressure when you've got the stress and pressure of actually getting the product and service and getting your business out there, and all those other back end stuff that we spoke about earlier. You've got to get those things all set up. So yes, there's a selfish element, but it's actually a sensible element of saying, look, whilst we get going and find our feet and understand what our approach to market is, understand what the hooks are in with clients, let's partner with a demand gen company that can help with that. So I salute you on that one, and it's an approach that we've taken as well. So you're a few months in to lockdown. Obviously, your business plan has had to be completely rewritten, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What decisions did you make? I think we all recognize the challenges we were having. Initially nobody was buying, everything was paused, and slowly but surely it started opening back up, and people realized, hey, I've actually got more time on my hands now to have these calls, to have these meetings, to learn, to uncover new technologies that might be able to help me when we get back there. So how did you find things when things started to open back up?
So exactly what you said there. So the positive I can definitely take away from all this was that it got to stop because my clients had stopped for a bit. I felt I could stop again and just kind of reevaluate exactly what I was doing. Make sure it is something that I'm still sure of, which I did. So I think what happened then was going back to my early sales days when you have to think out the box to get the new leads, to get the new business, and I felt like that's where I was back again. So thinking outside the box at that point was, I think that's what helped me get past. So we did a few things. We invested in some international offices and started setting up international operations. That was something that I was meant to do sort of that was one of the plans I was planning to do 18 months down the line, and I thought there's no time better because some of the destinations where we set up, so the likes of Singapore, so though they've had a dip. I think it's around 18% of a dip that they've had compared to the UK, which I should know the figure, but I don't off the top of my head. But so we started setting up offices. In terms of educating myself, looked at learning different languages, because I always think it's just always so useful in business as well to know different languages, because UK is definitely such a I guess a multicultural playing space, and even though everyone does have everyone can speak the language, I think it's always good just to have that in your back pocket. Reading podcasts, the usual. I think that part was quite what a lot of people done. So I did a fair bit of just trying to readjust the company, and one of the biggest decisions was essentially the outsourced sales team. Again, I've always worked in a face-to-face environment, and I can't shy away from that's how I best work. If I could manage someone face-to-face, then I think it would have been okay, but manage someone remotely, it just wasn't in my skill set, and I'm still working on that. So I've had a few chats with a few people in the past, a few sales leaders, and who have recommended me to give me some advice, and I've been taking that on board and trying to adapt and mold to make sure I can manage a remote workforce. Because I don't think it'll be for me. I don't think it'll be a permanent thing. I reckon there will be an element that I would need people to be together in one place and be creative as possible. Those skills I previously had are still going to be of use, but definitely that remote management is something that I need to build on and work towards.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, but certainly from connecting business standpoint, when it came to that demand gen and that marketing, you kind of sit back and think, oh, should I just not spend? You know, nobody else is spending. There's going to be no projects out there. You know, why should I bother? But in actual fact, we made the decision. Look, we're not necessarily trying to aggressively sell to people, but we need to still continue to get our brand out there and keep it in front of people and let them know that we're here if and when they need us, and that we're good guys and we're trying to do the right thing in the right way, and we know our stuff. And if you want to have a chat, fantastic. So a lot more sort of laid back, relaxed style. But ultimately, you know, it is a numbers game. You know, sales, that's just what it is, and you and I know that, and so does everybody else in business. You know, even the people that are doing the buying recognize that they are being sold to. You know, when a phone call comes in, you know, somebody's trying to sell them something, and that's kind of okay. You know, we understand it all now, but you know, there's again, being the owner of the business, you've got all these different things and plates spinning that you're trying to keep going. That for me, that outreach, that demand gen was again a skill set that I recognized that predominantly I didn't have the time to do myself, and secondly, wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to be doing. or enjoyed doing, or necessarily was particularly amazing at. So we again partnered with somebody to do that demand gen outreach. But the decision was that we weren't going to delay it because of the situation. Because if we did, we were just going to shift all the timelines to the right. So the longer we delayed doing that outreach, the longer we delayed doing the marketing and the distribution of the brand awareness, it was just delaying people being interested in us, and therefore you're moving the pipeline influence further right in timeline. So we chose to just go ahead and do it anyway, without doing it in a flashy, shouty, spending thousands and thousands of pounds on something. It was done very thoughtfully, very respectfully, and very targeted. So we decided to use LinkedIn, and we didn't choose to do just a blanket carpet bomb of messages. We chose to take a much slower, more methodical, but actually personal approach, where we would profile everybody that we wanted to speak to. So we did an initial few different lists based on size, location, job role, industries, that kind of thing, to get the initial list. And then we didn't just carpet bomb them all. We actually went into each individual one and saying, okay, are they a fit for what we do? Are they going to be ready for our product or service? Do we think we can help them? Is there any kind of synergies there? And then reached out to them with a personal message that showed that we'd done some research on them. So that was our effort of trying to do the face-to-face bit, that showed that we'd taken time to understand the company and that person. And you mentioned the face-to-face element. Like everybody, obviously you went to work from home. How's that been for yourself personally and for the business? And what was snapping point for you for sort of saying, I need to get out of here? So perhaps if you can share a bit about that.
I think I reached breaking point probably within 3 weeks, in all honesty. So it was quite early, because those 3 weeks it was purely working. I didn't start a baking course. I didn't start doing exercise at home. So it was just that after I started doing a few more things at home, I think it broke up what the home office has become, because I live in a flat, so it gets difficult as it is. So me and my wife both are here. We both have separate rooms where we work. We had, so at the start there was a lot of teething issues. We had BT as our internet. Both of us are on conference calls. One of us are going to be
Other
flying
internet service providers are available, of course.
it was, but yeah, we had some pains, and then we had some pains at the start. From that, we had. Used to go to the gym quite a lot, play football every week, quite active. That pretty much going to nil. It was a difficult transition. So I think once I started getting the weights at home and starting out to do exercise at home, that helps me. I did some cooking courses, which again broke up the evenings a bit more.
So you were able to try and instill some kind of balance, because when when you're going to an office, it's easy to create that separation, right, between the work on home. Although, of course, as business owners, we know we're always working whilst we're awake. We're looking out for those emails, looking for making sure our clients and prospects are happy, and sorting out all the different things. So when it all gets put into the home sandwich of this is your place of work and downtime place. Any good tips that you can share with people about the stuff that you did to help with that separation, especially being in a flat and having two of you there, both working? What sort of things did you do?
So I think so for me, I think it was just eliminating my distractions. I think was I used to do relatively long office hours, and then it used to be a lot of wining and dining. So there's a big social aspect to selling, right? You go meet your clients, you go for dinners, you go for lunches. So my home was the relaxing place where I'd come back and I'd purely relax, and there'd be very little work that would go on when I got back. Um, and I think that managing, and then having that relaxation and then splitting it to work was a big thing. So I was almost battling the atmosphere of relaxing versus the atmosphere of working hard. Um, so this is probably, it may help a lot. Some people may not. But I think my biggest problem, which I had, was my distractions at home.
Mm.
I had an Xbox a meter away, 2 meters away from me. I had, again, I had just had all these distractions around me. I don't know, it just felt that I was so much more easily distracted at home, even from my mobile. So I put blockers on pretty much everything. So I had a limit of 5 minutes on Instagram from 9 till 5. I blocked off some of the worst websites, such as Daily Mail, which I don't know how I get caught up in it, but I do. Again, put a block on that website. I put blocks on a lot of things to ensure that to guide me down the right path and then build what I needed to build on. And I think that was probably my most, as much as I said, I did the exercise, I did the gardening, I did all these things. I think bring that work element home and actually creating that distraction-free environment was what helped me the most. What about yourself? I guess because I know I think you mentioned that you've worked from home for a while, but what did you do to kind of counteract that, to make sure, because now you're with everyone working from home, I'm sure there was a change as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've worked from home for the last five years, so I'm used to it. I'm used to you know, my wife, the baby, and everybody else that sort of here. They sort of go sort of generally between 7 and 8 a.m. and then the house is peaceful, and I have my office here, everything I need. But I do try and keep the door closed, because try and keep that separation between the office and the rest of the house. You know, when that door's open and sort of, you know, you've got the other rooms of the house there, you know, you end up wandering around on phone calls, and that can kind of be okay if you're on a call. But you know, like you said, the distractions, if you can see they're there, then you know, it's easy to do that. But I think with the nature of what we do, where we're deeply engrossed in spreadsheets, in Salesforce configuration, in building out technical requirements, it requires focus. And in an office environment, what you would do is what you're doing there: put a headset on, where I don't kind of have to do that. You know, I can, you know, put some music on in the office. We've got speakers here, we've got Sonos and everything. So it's nice to have that peace and quiet. And then, you know, invariably, and the beautiful thing is now with these smartwatches, this one happens to be an Apple Watch. Other smartwatches are available, of course, from all major retailers. It reminds you, you know, it says breathe, it says stand up, because I find that it's really easy to, and I mentioned this on a couple of other podcasts, you know, you're plugged into the matrix. You literally feel like you've got the cable in the back of your head, and you're, you know, typing away. It can be hours, you know, 2-3 hours, and you haven't moved. And that's no good for your mental well-being, no good for your physical well-being. And you know, you would reach burnout very quickly, and the quality of your work would degrade the longer that goes on. So I do really try and instill in myself every hour and a half tops, get up, go outside, go and water the tomatoes, go and do something, you know, for 10-15 minutes, go and grab a cup of tea or coffee, go and sit in the garden. So that's what I've tried to always do. But the difference for me with what happened with COVID is that now my wife's at home, and the nanny's here, and her son is here. It was certainly pre going back to school, and the baby's here. So there's all those distractions and noises happening in the house now, which can sometimes interrupt things like this, with the squealing of the baby in the background, or the commotion that goes on with doors opening, closing, and toys being played with. And so not only can it be a distraction from what you're doing, but you get easily distracted and you go off and you go and spend some time with the baby, which, hey, is a positive thing. But I had to adjust to or that new working environment, even though I do have the door closed. It's there, whereas before it wasn't there. So yeah, great question. So have you made the decision to go back to the office? I mean, here we are now on September 23rd, and of course, our glorious leader has implied that he would like for us all to work from home where possible again, after, of course, encouraging us to eat out, to help out. So, had you made that decision to go back into the office?
Yeah. So so the start of this month that I decided to head back in. I say permanently. So we had an office leading up to COVID, which we then cancelled the contract on based on the scenario at that point of a lockdown. But yeah, I've been relatively free and flexible at the moment. So we use a app called Work Club, which allows you access to several hot desking spaces throughout London. So it's relatively handy, but I think it's helped me having the flexibility to start going into London, and just again being in that environment where you're completely so where you mentioned you're focused at home. I feel like I'm focused when I'm outside of my flat. I feel like I work from sort of your 9 to 5, 9 to 6, and I work towards knowing that I've got to finish everything by this time of the day, and then shut my laptop in and then go home to what home should be.
Right. You can at home you're like, well, I'll just go off and do this and know that I'll just do an extra hour at home, later on this evening.
So there's many people I work with who I know for a fact they will succeed way more at home than they would do in an office. And I think there's but again, it's down to personal preference, I think, a lot of it. And because I've had a lot of debates with a lot of people about the working from home versus in office, and I think it's a difficult one because there's a lot of people that feel strongly about the commute times, about the quality of life, and a lot of those conversations. But you can get.
Would you agree that I think the one role within an organization that really does require that camaraderie, that being together, is that new business sales environment? That is such a different engine, such a different beast, such a different person to pretty much any other role within the organization. So for example, if you're part of customer success team, i.e. renewals, your account managing, whatever you want to call it, where you're calling into a friendly client, you're checking in, you're making sure they're using your product or a service, you're helping them. That is far easier to do from home because there's a script to follow, if you like. The company sets out for you what that check-in process is, that onboarding process, whatever it may be. It's laid out there for you. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it's much far more structured, where you can pretty much do it from anywhere, and certainly from home is a lot easier. But that new business environment where you're hearing no, 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 no all day long, and there's only you at home, and that's all you're hearing, it gets so demoralizing, and it's easy to get down. Whereas when you're in that environment where there's people around you, you're listening into their conversations, you're hearing sentences or words that they're using, and you're thinking, oh yeah, I'll use that, and you're adapting, or you can lean over and chat with someone. Hey, this guy's saying this about us, or that product can do this. Is that right? You need that sort of gelling, that bonding, that rapport between your teammates. Would you agree with that?
100%. I think you've hit the nail on the head there straight away. With I've always worked in those kind of those pods, those groups of new business, throughout my sales career, where I've had to work in that new business, and when I've worked in organisations, the new business team works together. And even when I became more senior and I was on that account management piece, even then that sales approach was still relevant to me. I'd hear how someone had an issue once and they managed it this way, and I just to hear it over the voice of someone else, I heard that they were using this sales approach and upselling this much more, and it's exactly the same vice versa. They would then hear stuff that I was doing, and it's, you're always kind of learning off each other. And one problem I had actually, which was previously, was one of my SDRs. He started when he joined, so unheard of. Month one, booked 20 or so meetings, and he accelerated. And this is amazing. But what happened was, and he had a few days where he had a bit of a slump. So he was booking a meeting a day pretty much, and then he had a slump, a slump. It was only for 3 or 4 days, and he just couldn't pick himself up again, because couldn't pick himself back up again. And then what I have done for my SDRs from now moving forward is I chat to each one of those guys at the end of every day, tell them to give me 3 points of how the day has gone for them. 3 things. So it could be they've heard this objection, they've heard an objection, they've heard a certain technology, they'd give me 3 points a day. And by the end of that month, they should have learned 60 new things.
Fantastic.
And I think that's what I started from. I started that after that slump, and then I've been able to keep the work rate consistent, because I wasn't keeping track of that prior to that. And that's what you said there. The negativity of no does have its toll, and suddenly your morale goes
We're
down.
not
And
human, right? If it doesn't
yeah,
affect you, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
you can be the best salesperson in the world. I mean, and at some point it's going to dip. Your motivation will go. You go to a company where the technology just isn't what people want. Whatever those variables are, you're going to get that, and the nose hurt, especially with a new emerging bit of tech which people don't understand and is a bit risky and we're not ready for yet. It's a tough one. Something I think feels very fitting for what you've managed to achieve, and again, huge congratulations, kudos to you for taking that leap and persevering. The infamous book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. That seems to me that you absolutely had the fear, but you saw past that. You had the vision, and you were visualizing that goal of what you wanted to achieve, and even in the face of the most ridiculous, and that's what it is, of circumstances, certainly of our lifetime, right? We've never experienced anything like this, and I think possibly even our parents haven't either. Grandparents clearly did, but this is like nothing else we've ever witnessed and experienced. So despite all of that, you've had the belief in yourself, the motivation, and ultimately the mindset to continue with that journey, knowing that the service that you are delivering to your clients and prospects is one that you feel is valuable to them. So huge congratulations. Have you got a book there that you'd like to share with people that was inspirational or motivational for yourself?
Yeah. So the services that we offer, a lot of it's based off theory, which is what I believe. And what I previously sold for the last 8 years, which was, I guess, hardware tin, was based off factual. You're buying X amount of spec to deliver this amount of service. Whereas
Right.
now it's cloud services, and this should work for this will work for this will work for this. So it's a lot more theory based. So I believe there's a lot more now in negotiation. So Simon Horton's Leader's Guide to Negotiation is probably it's what's helped me hold together and understand my clients a lot better. I think it's definitely more of it. So from moving from my sales cycles, which were between 30 to 60 days, to my sales cycles now, which could be anywhere from 60 to 180 days, it's a different type. You're continually negotiating, you're continually working with that client to guide them down the right path, even if sometimes they disagree with what you suggest is the correct technology and what they may have heard through the grapevine. So I'm continually negotiating with them. I'm also trying to introduce a service which in the UK is a relatively new approach. So the approach we take is very common in the US. In the UK, it's almost non-existent. So yeah, so this book's definitely helped me through that. With definitely because a lot of previous books I've read have given that. I don't think there's been many negotiation books I've ever approved of, except for this one, because it gives you so many different types of scenarios and so many different types of tactics to use, and how best to implement those and when to implement those.
Fantastic. Rinku, it's been fascinating hearing your inspirational story. Carry on, my friend. You're doing a great job, and all the best with what you're doing, mate. Best of luck.
Thanks, Lee, and to you too. And hopefully, we get to meet face to face soon.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, all the best, Rinku. Thank you.
Thank you.